Welcome back. It's been a year now since the story of a missing 3-year-old girl, Madeleine McCann, hit the headlines and stayed there. The story of her disappearance in Portugal ran and ran across the world's media, in spite of there being no new leads, no real clues at all. The McCann case is a prime example of a media double standard. Why did the story of one little girl from Britain attract so many headlines when thousands of children disappear around the world in cases that go virtually unreported? This week, the girl's parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, spoke to the Listening Post's Sinead O'Shea about the love-hate relationship they've had with the media in their search for their lost daughter.
This week marked 1 year since the disappearance of British toddler Madeleine McCann, bringing with it yet more media coverage.
The media attention's focused on this, and this is why we've launched a new campaign today. Is because it's coinciding with media attention. Irrespective of whether we were saying anything, there is going to be a huge amount written and broadcast.
So the McCanns have participated in a high-profile documentary, made public appearances and spoken with the press. In short, they are liaising with the media, a decision which they already made when Madeleine first went missing.
Please, if you have Madeleine, let her come home to her mummy, daddy, brother and sister.
The very first night where we appealed for information, I was thinking, you know, this is going to be terrible and that we'll have invasion of our privacy. But you're faced with a choice. The first one is you can go away and hide, and then they would have written about you anyway.
The reasons why the disappearance of a 3-year-old British girl from a Portuguese holiday resort would have been written about anyway and sold thousands of extra copies are numerous. The absence of information about the case itself, the interplay between the Portuguese police, Portuguese media and the British media, and the McCanns themselves. They were middle class, doctors, particularly telegenic, and crucially, they decided themselves to engage with the media, unleashing one of the most extraordinary campaigns to highlight their missing daughter that the world has ever seen.
Please, could you go to your local authorities or police and give any information that you have?
At first, the dynamic between the McCanns and the media was straightforward, positive, if emotional.
Okay, we're both going to cry now. It's obviously very difficult. Obviously, Joe, thanks very much to you. It's very emotional, obviously, here. Let's go back to the studio.
In the first few weeks, the media were incredibly considerate, particularly the British media. But clearly the way the case developed in Portugal, then it did feel like in August and September that it was open season on us.
It was at this point that Kate and Jerry McCann were declared arguidos, or suspects. The media's response was vitriolic.
The worst thing about that period in August, start of August when it changed, was actually what was getting printed, because they were basically insinuating that Madeleine was dead and that we'd been involved. And that bit there, insinuating that Madeleine was dead when there's absolutely no evidence, I think is a disgrace. You know, Madeleine needs to be found, and to mislead people by making that suggestion that she's come to harm obviously damages the search because people stop looking.
And so, since then, the McCanns have found themselves both having to search for Madeleine and to counter the accusations that they were responsible for her disappearance. Within days of being declared arguidos, they appointed a new press officer, Clarence Mitchell, an ex-BBC reporter who began to cultivate better relationships within the media, planting stories and arranging appearances and interviews.
The only just and appropriate thing in apologising for the grossly defamatory stories that they've carried on a sustained basis over several months since last summer.
Mitchell has certainly made an impact, but his success has led to accusations that the McCanns are overmanaged and that he is creating distrust. The McCanns do not share this opinion.
On a daily basis, Clarence is the only person who's full-time media, and his role, actually, is to protect us from the media exposure.
In the run-up to the anniversary, Clarence has been working hard, making deals with media from all over the world.
We're not characters, we're not a soap opera, we're far from perfect, we're ordinary people, and we have got a real life, and Madeleine's a real girl, an innocent little child, and I think, you know, that is what we're trying to remind people of.
It is that classic bind, The more the McCanns tried to present a more realistic image of themselves through carefully negotiated media appearances, the more elusive that idea of reality can be. Their options, however, are limited.
We're in that difficult situation where we need to get information to the public to help us, and we're pleading and asking for help. So the easiest way to disseminate information is through the media. So it is this balance between getting information out there. We've got a new number, clearly we want that disseminated, but at the same time we are asking for responsibility in terms of reporting. So we would not choose to do this if it wasn't for the fact we're setting a specific objective, that we are trying to get information that will help us in the search to find Madeleine.
Often, in any case, the press themselves have been content to push whatever message the McCanns feel necessary to communicate in their efforts to find their daughter. The problems only arose when the press went off message.
I think it's uncontrollable. I think that's what we've learned, really. We can't control the media. Obviously, we appealed via the media initially to try and help find Madeleine. We wanted to let people know that Madeleine was missing. This is what she looks like, and please help us. And that is all that we ever asked.
All we can do is put out a message when we want, and you have to ask the thousands of newspapers, broadcasters, the hundreds of them, why are they covering the story?
So how responsible have the McCanns been for the shortcomings in the media coverage of their case? Should they have handled the media more expertly? Should they have handled the media to the extent that they did? Who can really judge? Who can know the decisions that the McCanns themselves faced?
You know, the way I remember Madeleine is as a very happy little girl. Very loving and funny and bright, and she's just a key member to our family.
She's just a really perfect little girl, outgoing, real personality, good fun, sense of humour, just lovely. I mean, I'm sure any parent would say the same about their 3 or 4 year old.
More Global Village Voices now on the media coverage of the Madeleine McCann story.
This same media, they treated everybody in a horrible way. They started with the parents, they followed them to the police, the Portuguese, the Moroccans. So I think it is certain type of newspapers. You wouldn't read those comments in the respectable media. It's tabloids in England, and they're always looking for somebody to attack. It's not justification, it's actually worse. But these people never try to find facts and straight jump into conclusions, and that's what they did with the parents, that's what they did with the Portuguese police, and that's what they did with Morocco as a country. How can you start to draw conclusions about a whole country?
We did see that when you do Madeleine stories, it increases your circulation, and we saw it when you put Madeleine story on the website, you get an increase in hits. But I think there's also a sense that we've done so much coverage on this that a year on we owe to the readers to sort of wrap things up and provide a bit of completeness.
Finally, here's a piece of video that will do nothing to defeat the stereotypical image some people have of Italians of being a somewhat emotional people. The occasion was the Milan derby, the big football match between AC Milan and Inter Milan. And when AC Milan scores, one commentator in particular proves less than objective. This video is getting a lot of play on the web, well beyond Italy, and it's our Internet Video of the Week. We'll see you next time with the Listening Post.
Attenzione! Attenzione! Attenzione!
L'Inter è in ginocchio, Milan 2, Inter 0, raccontateci il gol, raddoppio di Riccardo.
Alto! 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 È finita!
È finita, il Milan ha vinto.
Ho indovinato il risultato.
Il risultato indovinato da Giovanni Lodetti, il Milan ha vinto 2-1. Rinviato l'appuntamento con lo scudetto, solo più 3 sulla Roma.
E allora?
Che domenica!
C'era un rigorino che non ce l'hanno dato. È finita!